everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Lots to talk about this morning. A bid for Kieran Trippier, the latest on Jadon Sancho, if that is news. I suppose it is. We're also going to be talking about Victor Lindelof, Jesse Lingard in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer talks, Cristiano Ronaldo, and a few other things as well. So lots to get into this morning. Oh, Keylor Navas as a goalkeeper for Manchester United as well. And a few things from credible people who do get briefed by Manchester United talking about various different things as well. But I just want to say this first off. Take it or leave it. I'm not saying it's coming from a credible source. Take this however you want. Watch out for Cristiano Ronaldo coming back to Manchester United. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not saying it's 100% going to happen. I think year after year we hear about Ronaldo coming back to United. I've got a feel. You know, it's more of a feeling. It's more of a feeling than discussions I've had. Watch out for Cristiano Ronaldo coming back to Manchester United. I've just got a feeling. It ticks a lot of boxes. You know, when you think about the Glazer out movement, you think about them wanting to do something big. You think about Juventus wanting to sell Ronaldo. You think about Solskjaer desperately wanting a number 9. I might be way off. But I've just got a feeling that something's not definitely going to happen, but as I said, just watch out for Ronaldo back to Manchester United. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, let's start off. £100 million swoop from Manchester United involving Kieran Trippier and Jadon Sancho. There were some developments last night around Jadon Sancho and a £77 million bid being accepted. Now, there's talk of it £77 million plus add-ons. I still think that's stupid. There should be no add-ons above £80 million. I think £77 million flat deal is a good deal for Manchester United, and hopefully we can get something like that over the line. We're still in that territory really of boredom, I would say. You know, a lot of people talking about the Euros, apart from Spain last night, which was crap. But this Sancho deal is sort of like, so something's going to happen with the Sancho deal, just nobody knows when it's going to happen. But it's looking like these negotiations and this time it's taking is about the thing we know it's about. I mean, as I said yesterday, somebody's saying that United have agreed terms with Sancho. They agreed terms with Sancho a year ago. That's not news. When we get this deal over the line, we're going to hear about it very, very much so. But at the moment, it's still negotiations and they're very, very close together. But the interesting thing is, and the reason we're talking about £100 million sweep is because of this Kieran Trippier thing. 2 outlets last night talking about, one of them was from Italy, and then there's another one this morning talking about Kieran Trippier and a bid of £10 million being rejected by Atletico Madrid, around €15 million. But United apparently have bid. But then there is also stories around this that Atletico Madrid, coming out of Spain, will not sell Kieran Trippier unless it's a ridiculous offer that they find hard to turn down. You're talking 35 million. 35 million is now being quoted for Kieran Trippier, euros. So that's nearly 25, 26, 27 million. So I said this yesterday. Mal says, I don't know how I feel about us mainly having English defenders. English defence is seen as the weakest part of the team. Yeah, exactly. But in relation to Kieran Trippier, I've said this before, we shouldn't be spending any time on this deal. He's a backup right back. And yes, you get all this stuff that United are getting frustrated with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. You spent £50 million on Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He's a young right back. If you are going to turn your back on Wan-Bissaka, I'm sorry, then he's a flop signing by Solskjaer. So Solskjaer needs to think long and hard about what he's doing about this right back situation, because he's basically, if you're going to discard Wan-Bissaka to bring in Kieran Trippier and spend big money on Trippier, then, what does that say about you, Ollie, in relation to Wan-Bissaka, who is a young right back who should be being developed better? Like, we can all moan about his positional sense and we can all moan about his, doesn't get forward enough. But is that not about coaching? Like, I don't think we spent £50 million on Wan-Bissaka from Crystal Palace to get, Cafu, or the most complete right back in the world. He was potential. And if we're not going to fulfil that potential and grow that potential, then, what does that say about spending £50 million on him in the first place? So, you know what I mean with that? What I'm saying is, why is it, I hear some United fans saying, well, yeah, it's worth spending 25 million on Trippier because he'll take Wan-Bissaka's place. This is the same coach who spent 50 million on Wan-Bissaka. For me, this is a Tellez deal. This is 15 million max, where you bring somebody in who's experienced, who isn't going to be first choice, but is going to push the first choice player, not take their place. The minute you start spending more than 15 million pounds on Trippier is the minute that you start moving away from what this is meant to be about. A very quick backup deal, like we did with Tellez, to support and push Wan-Bissaka. Long protracted negotiations for Trippier takes us away from everything else that's important. CDM, centre-back, right wing. So that's what I'd say about that. Thoughts on Isaac? Young and excited in my opinion. Get him next summer, says Daniel Kerr. I'm a big fan of Alexander Isaac. Obviously we played against him in the Europa League. Only 21. Lots and lots of growth in him. I don't think he's going to come anywhere near Manchester United, but he was one of the players that I predicted would be as a potential breakout player, and it looks very good. Welcome to the Members Club, Apollo 30X. Nothing about United being linked to him, though. I can't give you anything like that. Are we possibly going to buy all England players this summer? Sancho, Trippier, Rice, then possibly Ben White if Varane and Torres doesn't happen, says Salah Ahmed. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? I was reading some of the minutes from that chat, and we've got some quotes from Paul Pogba I want to talk about as well. I forgot about that. I was reading about the Joel Glazer minutes meeting with the fan forum, and to summarise, at one point he said other clubs should look at how Manchester United are run because we're a well-run club, or words to that effect. And I was just like, this is the person who owns our football club who thinks that other clubs should be looking at us because we're a well-run club. I mean, it defies belief, doesn't it? The ignorance and stupidity. I was speaking to somebody last night, and they were talking who knows somebody who is an agent for a player that I can't say anything more than that. But what they were saying, and we've heard this before, Manchester United are a circus. So you never know what act they're going to pull out next. It could be the clowns. It could be something really interesting like, trapezing over a pool full of crocodiles, and they make it and everyone goes, wow, that's amazing. Or they might just send the clowns out. You just don't know. And basically I was talking about a specific deal involving a centre-back who might not want to come to our club anymore. And basically that was the gist that came back again, that with United you never know because they're run like a circus. That assume it's going to be a clown show, but now every now and again they do produce an act that's really, really good, but it's run like a circus. No one really knows what United are doing. So how Joel Glazer can come out and say we're a well-run club and other people should look at us. No. This. You've read it in other articles as well. The general perception of Manchester United in the football industry is that they're a mess and they're run like a mess. The warning signs were there when news stories of Aaron Wan-Bissaka changing to centre-back came out. Shocking from United, says Nick P. We'll have to see. I mean, I just don't want to miss this because it's a little bit breaking news. It's sort of come out in the last sort of 20 minutes. So Paul Pogba has been interviewed. Now, Pogba's going to have a lot of interviews over the Euros, and this is something we spoke about probably a month before the Euros. You are going to get a lot of quotes from United players, but also from players that maybe we're looking at. So there will always be stuff in the Euros that isn't just, Sancho. There's going to be, interesting things. So Paul Pogba, in a way, sort of exposing the problem at Manchester United and the lack of a centre defensive midfielder, and maybe why he would move on. He said, I always like to play more offensive. To score 15 goals per season is what I would like. We play in a 4-2-3-1 in France, a bit of a diamond, and I'm a little bit more in the transmission, in the construction, but I have more freedom than in Manchester to enter the box and to make runs forward. So he acknowledges that playing for France, he's more in, he's closer to Kante, he's more part of the construction of the game and the transmission of the ball, i.e. what he's talking about there is the ball comes from the defence, it goes through him to the attack, but he has the freedom to get into the box. He says at Juventus it was different from Manchester United. We already played with three midfielders in a 5-3-2, and I had the freedom. I had to be in the box to attack. It was an obligation. In Manchester, I have the freedom to get into the box, but the priority is to play and defend. I think that's really interesting from Pogba there, because what he's basically saying, in a very polite and respectful way, what he's saying is that I've got way more freedom in France, I've got way more freedom in Juventus, but at Manchester United, my obligation is to defend. And is that for Pogba, or is that for the whole team? And that for me is a very interesting line for Paul Pogba when he says that I've got freedom to get into the box, but the priority is to play and defend. Is that for him personally, which I think is not great, or is that for the whole team? And Sugan says that's because Ollie is a defensive manager. But Ram says, I love Pogba talking tactics. So do I. I loved what he said. In no way do I think he's being anti-United, anti-Ollie. I just think he's being honest that, in France, I think what Pogba's basically saying is he doesn't want to play on the left wing. He doesn't want to play at number 10. He wants to play in the midfield, but he wants the freedom to get into the box. He wants to play as an actual box-to-box midfielder, which you can't do at United because, as we know, we play McFred, shield the back four. When you play Pogba there, he can't get forward. In the earlier days, when it was Matic, Pogba and Bruno last season, he had the licence to get forward. Before we had Bruno, it used to be Matic, Herrera and Pogba, and he had more licence to get forward in the three. So I think what Pogba's saying there is that he likes playing in the midfield for France. He's involved in the construction and the transmission of the ball from back to front, but he's got that freedom to get into the box. It's an obligation to get in the box. But for Manchester United, his obligation is to defend. And I think that's a real insight as to why he won't sign a new contract and why he's probably looking to get away from Manchester United, and also why we need a centre defensive midfielder, because if United did buy Declan Rice, Pogba would have the obligation to get into the box. But the reason Pogba has to defend, and I defend Ollie here, the reason when you play Pogba in the midfield too, his priority is defence, is because he hasn't got a CDM with him. So basically, he's got to be a CDM with whoever plays with him. Would like us to get Locatelli, cheaper alternative to Rice, and is rumoured to be around 35 million. Keep up the good work, Mark. I think Locatelli has been heavily linked with a move to Italy, but there has been mention of English clubs. I very much doubt it's Manchester United. I very much doubt it is. What did I want to... There was a couple of things I did want to talk about. Oh, yeah. Let me just talk about Lindelof for a moment. Now, I put a tweet out last night. Look, it's the Euros. We've seen a great goal yesterday by Schick, and two very good goals from Schick and Yarmolenko and people like that. It's the Euros. It doesn't mean they're the best players in the world. You know, should we go and buy Yarmolenko and Schick? They're not Man United players. So last night I saw Lindelof got man of the match for Sweden in their bus parking exercise against Spain. And I just said, look, how can he get man of the match? He lost his man more times than Sharon off EastEnders. If you know, you know. She's lost a lot of men, as poor Sharon. And I was like, you know, I got a lot of stick for it. Not stick for it. But I mean, if anybody watched that Spain game yesterday, there was about 4 crosses in the first half where Lindelof lost his man, and 2 of them they should have scored Spain. Like, Spain should have won that game 4-0. They had 4 really good chances. So how can Lindelof be man of the match when it's down to bad finishing or good goalkeeping? So I don't think Lindelof played badly yesterday, but I saw everything that bothers me about him for United. And look, it's only a few weeks ago since we lost the Europa League final because he lost his man. So I'd be very wary of watching Fred play for Brazil well, Lindelof play well for Sweden. I mean, McTominay didn't play well for Scotland yesterday, so it's not a good example. But these players have proven they're not good enough for United over 1 or 2 years. I'm not going to watch one game against Spain and go, Lindelof's fine. Like, I've watched him play 50 games last year. We need to upgrade. Simple as that. How impressed were you with Phillips' overall display versus Croatia? And do you think the spine of the England squad will help us to go far in the Euros, says Ariel? I hope it does. I certainly think Phillips is better than McTominay and Fred. Whether he's good enough for what United need, I don't know, but he would be an improvement. The problem with an improvement is the improvement good enough? You know, I don't think that McTominay and Fred are anywhere near good enough for Man United if we want to win a title, but that doesn't mean just go and get somebody better, because that somebody better, whilst being better, might not be good enough to win as a title. You've got to try and get that sort of quality. Just want to say as well, if you want to get one of our t-shirts, I'm wearing it at the moment. It's very nice now in the summer. The links, if you look under the video, you can see all our t-shirt range there. If you click on one of them, you can go to the website where it will show you all the t-shirts that we've got. And I will be wearing my Bruno t-shirt tonight at 5 o'clock on That's Football, because it's Portugal. The team I want to win it is Portugal if it's not going to be England. I like the look of this Portugal team. It's got Bruno, it's got Ronaldo. I'm team Portugal, so I'll have my Bruno t-shirt on. And it's going to be in front of a packed stadium. Probably the first time we've seen a stadium full in football since before COVID. So proper excited for that 5 o'clock. And then it's Pogba at 8 o'clock as well. So yeah, very excited about those. Of course, we're doing the watch-alongs on That's Football, so check it out on there. It's not only about CDM, in my opinion. France in the World Cup had Matuidi in the left wing. Thus, Matuidi covered for Pogba when he went forward. You might have to keep a full-back behind to let Pogba go, says Aritro. Well, you know, it's basically Aritro. You're not wrong. It's just technical defending. It's technical coaching. You know, if Pogba's playing to the left and he goes forward, Luke Shaw doesn't go forward. But that's the instructions from the coaching side, isn't it? So yeah, on Lindelof, I just wanted to say that. A couple of other things as well. Apparently, Jesse Lingard. This is coming from a West Ham outlet that Jesse Lingard would like to go to West Ham if he leaves Manchester United, but before he makes that decision, he wants to sit down and have a chat with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer about assurances. Now, that might be a really throwaway thing, but it got me thinking, and the reason I wanted to bring it into the show, if Lingard's going to decide his future after he's spoken to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, that basically means Lingard and £20 million in our transfer budget is dependent on how much of a backbone Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got. And when I say a backbone, I'm not saying he's a coward, but what I'm saying is we know Ole likes to get on with people. Now, Lingard wants to stay at Man United. Right, he loves Manchester United. And he wants to sit down with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has to say, Jesse, I'm telling you, Jesse, there will be games for you this season, Jesse. Now, he might be lying to Jesse, but if Jesse hears that, Jesse will say, I'm staying, let's sort of contract. If Ole goes, you're out, Jesse, you're gone, I can't play you, then Lingard's going to go, fine, thanks for the honesty, I'm off. This is an interesting scenario because I think many of us believe that Lingard should go. The World Cup is just over a year away. He only just missed out on the Euros. You're never going to get in the England team playing for Manchester United off the bench. If he wants to get in the England team, he's got to get playing for somebody like a West Ham or a Leicester week in, week out, performing like he did. So I think Lingard should go. I don't think he's ever going to be a first team player for United because of the players that we've got and the players we're going to bring in. But if Ole says to him, I'm going to use you, he might stay. And then we lose £20 million towards our budget. So this is going to be really interesting because some of you think Ole isn't brave enough to make decisions around substitutions, etc. Well, it looks like he's going to have to make a decision here. He's going to have to sit down with Jesse and say, big respect, but I can't offer you the game time you want. I think you should move on. Will he do that? Or will he go, stay here with me and I'll see what I can do? Big decision on that one, because if Jesse goes, that's 20 million quid that we've got towards other things. Mark, Ole is a coward, says Ben Anderson. I don't agree with all the stick he gets, but one thing he's a coward. But you know what, Ben Anderson, calling somebody a coward is probably one of the biggest offensive things you can actually say. So it's funny that you say you don't agree with the stick that he gets, but you're going to call him a coward. But I don't think he's a coward. I just think that he's a man. He's a glass half full person, Ole. He must be great to go on holiday with because he'd fix your bike. He'd always have a smile on his face. Especially when you're hungover the next day. So no, I like Ole. I do like Ole. I think next season's huge, and for me, it's not even about Ole now. It's about what happens this summer, and I don't think a lot of it's going to be down to Solskjaer, because if I go to the Glazers and I say I want Varane, Sancho, and Rice, and they come back with Ben White and Sancho and no midfielder, that's not really on me. That's on the board. So for me, Ole's job is basically when the season kicks in. Now, the next few weeks is all about the board and Woodward and Judge and Murta and whether they can deliver. I don't put it on Ole. We know that last summer Ole was in contact with Sancho trying to get the deal done, and it didn't happen, not because of Ole, but because of the club. So I think over the next 2 months, really, it's not about Ole in or out for me. That will kick in as soon as the football starts. This is about what this board can deliver. Although, on some things like that and Lingard, Ole will have a big part to play on that. Kayla Navas has been linked to us. A few people just wanted to be mentioned with that. Big shout out to MUFC MPB on Twitter because they made me aware of this story. Kayla Navas, I think it was on Instagram yesterday, basically put us a little bit of an up yours, the way I interpret it, to PSG, that he'd not been treated that well. And I don't know whether this is around the Donnarumma signing, but not happy, Kayla Navas. And he has now been linked with Manchester United. Obviously, the goalkeeping situation at Manchester United is really weird. I think in a different scenario, David De Gea would be Spain's number one, and Dean Henderson would be England's number one. And you know what? Clip this if you want. I know, don't clip it. But this, what I'm about to say here, and I was thinking about this last night, and I don't think anybody's said it yet. And if they have, I apologise. But look, this is probably the first time it's going out on this channel. The reason Dean Henderson is not England's number one in the Euros, and the reason David De Gea is not Spain's number one in the Euros, is because of this ridiculous situation we've had at Manchester United this season, where we've played it out through the media, this De Gea versus Henderson thing, where De Gea's number one, then Henderson's number one, then De Gea's number one, then De Gea has a child and Henderson's number one, then Henderson makes mistakes and De Gea's number one. And basically, what we've actually done in front of the world is undermine both good goalkeepers. There is big question marks over De Gea, and there is big question marks over Dean Henderson, and now neither of them are Spain or England's number one, because we went into this situation this season where we pretended that it was a good idea to have two goalkeepers fighting for one spot, and they've shared the role, they've lost the role, they've won the role, and now they're in this situation where neither of them have the number one shirt for their country, and I believe both of them should, but they don't because of the way we've handled it. And you know, what do we do now? We still don't know what's going to happen. And what should have happened is last summer there should have been a clear, distinct decision around who was going to be number one, and the other person should have even been loaned or sold. Now this summer we're in a worse situation than last summer. Dean Henderson came back last summer on a high from Sheffield United as one of the best goalkeepers in the league, and David De Gea was our number one. Now this summer neither are internationals goalkeepers, and neither has confidence that they're Man United number one. So we've actually regressed. So we need to sort that situation out, because there's massive question marks over both goalkeepers. Apparently we've had a tweet coming in from Fabrizio Romano. Let's have a look what he's got to say. Bayern are progressing in talks. Well, Romano's not tweeted at all. He tweeted 11 hours ago. You bloody trolls. Trolls, the lot of you. Trolls, I say. Hi, Mark. What do you think about the Manchester Evening News quoting Joel Glazer that there won't be any signings until July? Love the show. Keep up the fantastic work, says David Whitehead. I didn't know. I don't know about that. But look, I, on that one, not massively concerned about the transfer situation with Manchester United, because I think most of our deals are going to happen in July. I think they should have happened. I think, you know what? I'll tell you what, I think the real big shame is that we've got a new director of football and nothing has changed. And people want to pretend it's changed, but nothing has changed. Even if we get the Sancho deal done tomorrow or next week, nothing has changed. Sancho was a deal that should have happened last summer. It didn't happen last summer, so why didn't it happen the first day of the transfer window? You know, we're negotiating on a deal that we spent all summer last summer negotiating on. How amateur is that? All summer we negotiated for Sancho last year. This summer it starts and we're still negotiating. So realistically, we can still have a good window, but what's changed? Nothing's changed. Director of football, I don't notice any change, and that's the sad thing for me. I had expected us to just do things a little bit quicker, and that's not necessarily even players coming. I wouldn't even care if we got rid of a couple of players. You know, if Pereira and Mata had gone already and Matic had gone, I'd go, well, all right, we haven't got a player in, but we're actually clearing house the other way, and we're not. Thoughts on Stones and Mings centre-back pair with Maguire out, says Ariel. This ain't the England channel, Ariel, but I thought they did quite well. De Gea and Henderson, neither keeper in the top world. In the world, I can name 10 keepers better than them, says LJ. You know what, LJ? I'll say what I said again. Dean Henderson or David De Gea should be in the top 10 goalkeepers in the world, but they're never going to be in the top 10 goalkeepers in the world when they're being treated like they were last season. There's no stability, there's no confidence. Goalkeeping is all about... We had Ben Foster on last week. What did he say about goalkeeping? Goalkeeping is about knowing you're the number one. Knowing that if you do make a mistake, the manager's got your back. Knowing that you are the number one. You have a number one and you have a backup. And as the number one, you're not looking over your shoulder all the time about the backup. And the backup knows he's the backup and you know you're the number one. What have United done this season? They've been gobbing off publicly. I've got two great goalkeepers. I don't have a number one. What a stupid amateur thing to do. What a stupid amateur thing to do. You got Dean Henderson against Liverpool inviting the whole goal to Mo Salah. Basics. Where's his confidence gone? Like... How can you say in a position where confidence and mentality are key I haven't got a number one. I've got two great goalkeepers. Well, all that does to Henderson and De Gea is like, if I make a mistake, I'm screwed. And you're planting that in their head all the time. How does that make them confident? So we need to solve that situation. And I agree with you that neither of them are top 10 goalkeepers in the world at the moment, but both of them actually could be. There was something else I wanted to talk about, and I completely had a brain blank there. Glazer quotes, Ronaldo interested. Okay, yeah, Ronaldo spoke yesterday. I know I spoke about this before, and I know I opened up the show about this, but I just want to clarify this in a little bit. Damarcio has spoken about Ronaldo and basically said that Ronaldo definitely the summary of Ronaldo is this, whether it's Damarcio, Romano, anybody else, Ronaldo himself. Juventus want to sell Ronaldo. Ronaldo's aware that this is going to happen, and he's open to a move to Manchester United. He's probably open to a move to Real Madrid, and he's probably open to a move to PSG. I believe that Manchester United will move for Ronaldo. I don't know that we will get him, but I think that they will. I think they'll do it for many reasons, because it will sell so many shirts. Like, the Glazer out movement will be obliterated if Ronaldo comes back, because don't buy the shirt. It's just not going to happen. You know, Ronaldo, when he went to Juventus, they made millions of pounds the day that Ronaldo signed. So Ronaldo in a Manchester United shirt, regardless of whether we need him or not, would be huge business, huge positivity, huge global interest on Manchester United. That to me is just is a light bulb moment. I'm like, So, and also Ollie does want a striker. He loves Ronaldo. He loves Ronnie. I love Ronnie. Karaki, I've got Ronnie back. Get your shirt on, you're playing CDM. So yeah, I think that I've just got a funny feeling about it. I wouldn't like to say I'm 50-50 or anything like that. I've just got a funny feeling about it. And the reality is that it could be that PSG get Ronaldo and Varane, two players that we could get, but I just got a funny feeling about it. Anime says, United's transfer business is like trying to revive a dead Cubs before they buy the player. Imagine if you had Chelsea's ambition. Mark, if Tierney had played, Scotland would have won. You forgot to mention him. He's also better than Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka, as he doesn't have the English tax on him, says Zane. And I'm amazed that you predicted the goalkeeper problem last summer, but our club didn't. Only thing that we didn't see coming was our second place, but everything else began true. Ollie overachieved, but has hit a ceiling, says DK. Well, look, we spoke about this last summer, the goalkeeper situation and what would happen, and lo and behold, Dean Henderson's not England's number one, and David De Gea's not Spain's number one, and I think that's on Manchester United. I think they massively made a mistake. Mr. J Pang, thank you very much for the super chats there. Just want to check a couple of things before we carry on with the show. Where was it? Just in relation to, this is what I wanted to bring in. So they had the 50+1 chats yesterday in government. It's not coming in. Basically, what came out of that, and this is from Sky, is that MPs have called for a strong independent body with the power to oversee clubs' financial management to regulate football. I don't know whether that will really help Manchester United or not. But look, any progress is progress. I would imagine. Gazzetta Italia is saying that Juventus would like Paul Pogba as part of a swap deal involving Ronaldo. That was what I was talking about, Ronaldo, with Solskjaer keen to keep hold of the France international. Also in that same article, this is at the United Journal, Gazzetta Italia, Man United are hoping Deleu's participation for Portugal in the Euros will see his value grow further and that an auction could be unleashed. Essentially, United hope that more teams will come forward and put forward better offers than Milan. I don't know that Deleu will start. I know he's replaced Cancelo, but I don't know he will start. I presume that they do have a right back already as their backup there. So yeah, it is interesting to see how that could plan out, but we are in we're definitely into that sort of silly season now with transfers, aren't we, where you've just got to try and cut through the crap. Because it's funny actually, what do you think about Kessie? I do like Kessie, Jed. I do like Kessie. But I said this yesterday, and look, this is a news show. The morning show is a news show where we go through lots of news, of course. But I don't know how many of you have been watching my watch-alongs on That's Football for the Euros. You're very welcome to join us there for Portugal later on. But I was saying that there was a story coming out about Sancho while we were live. And I said, I know how the media industry works. Effectively, if I work for a news outlet today and my editor says we need a big Man United story, then I would write an article along the lines of United imminently close to sealing Sancho deal for 80 million quid. And if you put that out this morning, then we probably would have spoken about it on this show. Well-known Twitter accounts that aggregate news for United would probably put it out there. It's basically a made-up story, but it's very true. It's very close to being true. And that's the problem with United. We are into that silly season now where people can say, United want to swap Pogba for Ronaldo. I mean, there's probably an element of truth in there. Well, Juventus probably do. And it's hard. It's hard to cut through because I'd say 80% of the stuff out there is just regurgitated bollocks. And we are into silly season. And as with Sancho, everyone says Sancho's close, as I said on Thursday, but how close? When? Do you think if we got a solid CDM, we could play a 4-1-2-3 or even an old school 4-4-2? This would help us play more dynamic and be less predictable, says Vikram. I think centre defensive midfielder, a top class centre defensive midfielder, Matic of 5 years ago, that would set this whole team free and you'd see a very different United. Hi Mark, I'm starting to think that Aaron Wan-Bissaka will be moved to centre back and Trippier will be bought in to cover, says Mark Coogan. I'm telling you now, Mark Coogan, I'm telling you right now, Aaron Wan-Bissaka will be a disaster at centre-back. If we ever try to do it, that'll be the squarest peg in the roundest hole you've ever seen. We've spoken about this. Some people actually think Wan-Bissaka at centre-back's a good idea. Look, I'm here to be proved wrong, but in all my years of playing football and watching Aaron Wan-Bissaka, he is not a centre-back. His passing isn't good enough to pass out from the back. He's very right-footed. Like, he's got no left foot, which is, you don't have to have a left foot as a centre-back, but it helps. His positional sense is not great, for crosses, etc. And he slide tackles a lot. I've never seen a centre-back that slide tackles as much as Wan-Bissaka would. And the great thing about Aaron Wan-Bissaka's slide tackling is he's always 2 yards away from the touchline. So when he slide tackles, the ball's out of play. Imagine him slide tackling in the middle of the pitch. The ball would stay on and he'd be on his arse. So I can't see Wan-Bissaka as a centre-back. Mark, we are United to the moon, says Stojans, and I think letting Pogba would be a massive mistake in a swap deal. He's very creative and makes a difference on that left-hand side. I don't think anybody wants to see Paul Pogba going, do they? Does anybody want to see Paul Pogba going? Because I think even people that are unsure about Pogba would say he's still our best midfielder. Bar Bruno, he's our best midfielder, and if he goes, do you trust United to replace him? Even with Pogba and Bruno, we need 2 midfielders, I think. So losing Pogba is not something that United fans or United want to do. They're in this horrible situation where he's got 1 year left on his contract and they're powerless. If Pogba says I'm running my contract down, United are screwed. If Pogba says I'm not signing a new contract, United have got to try and sell him. So it's not even in United's hand. Any news on Shaw's injury? Love your show. Keep it up, says Rashid. I read something about Luke Shaw yesterday that he's got a wrist injury, but he's okay enough to play. So yeah, hopefully he should be fine. Top Reds hate Pogba with a passion, says Annie Bro. I don't think they do. I don't think they do. I think the criticism of Pogba is normally about his inconsistency, but other than that, I don't think he's disliked. I really don't. I think he's. Especially since that, it really all came to a head, didn't it? With big news here. Dean Henderson has withdrawn from the England squad through injury. The FA said in a statement that the Man United goalkeeper has a hip issue that would continue to limit his involvement in training, and Aaron Ramsdale will replace him in the squad. He will now return to the club for further assessment and rehabilitation ahead of the 21-20 season. A blow for England, whose issue had been downplayed when he missed training in recent days. So Dean Henderson, funny that, isn't it? Not funny in relation to Dean Henderson. That's really hard for him, but it's funny that we were just talking about that. And look, he was never going to play in the tournament. Pickford's number one, but to be part of a tournament, where there's a lot of hope that England are going to do quite well. That's a real blow for Dean. And hip injuries are a real pain in the arse, pardon the pun, but they are. My left hip sometimes goes, and I don't know whether you've ever had it. It's like, because you've got nerves and all sorts. My left hip sometimes goes if I sit in a funny position, and you can't walk. The agony, it's a horrible, horrible pain. So, look, it's not one of those that you can get that you can resolve and move on from. So, yeah, thoughts with Dean Henderson there. It's a blow for him. I mean, what does that mean for his United future though? Being back at United, does that mean he's integrating in United more than De Gea is, who's away? Let's be honest, De Gea is going to be sat on the bench for Spain doing nothing. So, that might be more advantageous for Henderson. So maybe there's a positive there. I don't know. But that's 2 players now. Henderson, Greenwood, both injured. Both not part of the Euros because of that. Long, hard season for a lot of players. So, yeah. Please subscribe, by the way, bottom right-hand corner. We are very close to 59,000, as you can see. We're only, quick maths, 47 away. So please subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, if you're watching. And obviously we'll be going live if there's any breaking news. Donny's another one who's pulled out as well. Yep, you're right. Could Lingard be Pogba's replacement, says Fian? Oh, God. I love Jesse, but if Lingard is Pogba's replacement, we're Arsenal. Yeah, you can't replace one of the league's best players with Jesse Lingard. And let's not forget, Jesse Lingard is not a centre midfielder. That is Pogba's best position. He's literally said it this morning in an article that his best position is midfield, where he's part of the progression, but he's allowed to get into the box. That's basically where he wants to play. So there you go. Welcome to Members Club, Helg. Thank you very much for joining. You get your little badge next to your name. Thanks for supporting the channel. And Lindelof, man of the match thoughts. We've spoken about it, Anna Prass. As I said, I don't see how he can be man of the match when it was bad finishing that cost Spain winning 4-0. Henderson has been ruled out with hip injury. Do you think it's better if we sell and keep De Gea, says Mohammed Faisal? Well, I was more thinking, Mohammed, that can he be sold if he's got a hip injury? Maybe this works better for him. Although I've got to be honest, I reckon Solskjaer's already made his mind up about the goalkeeping situation. I think he wants to sell De Gea. But there you go. The reports of Donny and Arsenal have really frustrated me. Quality player and deserves better treatments. Is trading with Kieran. This Donny van der Beek to Arsenal thing. I mean, I was surprised last night that Romano had to come out and speak about this. Donny van der Beek to Arsenal. Romano came out last night and said nothing at the moment is happening. I mean, I don't even know where it came from. I heard Ian Wright talking about it, but I just think it's one of those stories that really makes no sense. United would not sell Van der Beek to Arsenal. I don't think Arsenal would even try to get Van der Beek, and it just doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all. So yeah, I don't know what that's all about. Nanny says the Ollie stand, won't say how it is. I mean, mate, I think you're listening to idiots, really, mate. As everybody knows, I've been very vocal about Solskjaer and always will be very vocal about Solskjaer. I just don't think that, in my opinion, United will not be sacking him. He's going to get a new contract. So if you want to raise your blood pressure shouting Ollie out all summer, you crack on. I'd rather crack open a few beers, enjoy the Euros and see what we do in the transfer window, because for me, I'm not saying that the Ollie out movement is wrong. I'd certainly call myself an Ollie doubter. But this will not be resolved until next season. And, it could be that he's gone by Christmas. I wouldn't surprise me if it was. But realistically, it's a bit like Mourinho when he finished second. We had this summer before. And if you don't want to learn about previous summers or the way that Man United deal, I'll tell you how it works right now. If you don't get top 4, you will get sacked. If you get 4th place, you will stay. Because that's the ambition of the Glazers. The evidence is there. They can lie all they like. But the ambition of the Glazers is 4th place. Moyes didn't get it, sacked. Van Gaal missed out on goal difference but won an FA Cup, sacked. Mourinho wasn't going to get top 4, sacked. Ollie's got top 4 twice, not sacked. That's what the Glazers want. They want 4th place. So basically, if you want something to happen that gets Solskjaer out of the club, he'd have to not be in a top 4 race. So that's how our clubs run. I don't think that's right, but that's how it's run. The second thing is, he will be in charge next year, but this reminds me of Mourinho. Mourinho finished second. There was a lot of people who didn't like how we finished second. We'd just been knocked out embarrassingly of the Champions League, but we got second place. Mourinho then didn't get backed in the summer and he was gone by Christmas. And I think history is repeating itself here, but it doesn't have to. Ollie got second, but there's still a lot of fans who don't think he's good enough. We're now going into a big transfer window where we finished second. Is the club going to take that next step? If they didn't do it for Mourinho, are they going to do it for Ollie? That, for me, is what the story is for the next 2 or 3 months. It's about what happens in this transfer window. What happens on the pitch will be what fans decide about Ollie next season, but the club have got to deliver in the transfer window. Thoughts on Lindelof and Fred showing Maguire and McTalentness levels, says Live Nater. And you know what? Can I just say, I've said this before, not for 3 years, because we haven't had a major tournament for 3 years. I don't actually take massive notice of international football because it's slower and not as good as Premier League or Champions League football. So if somebody performs well at international football, I don't necessarily go, yes, sign them up, or yes, they're good enough. It's encouraging to see people like Lindelof and Fred doing well, but you know, it doesn't mean that they're good enough to play for Man United in a title-winning side. Why is Darren Fletcher doing punditry work? Isn't he meant to be involved in our transfers this summer? Says Joshua Bowater. I don't really have any either. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that. I think you're right, Joshua, that, you know, the technical director, when we've got such a massive summer, you know, I think conservative guesses would say we need to sign 4 players and sell about 7. That's 11 deals. You'd expect your sporting director to be involved in that, but you know, obviously he's got a bit of Scottish punditry work to do as well. Who do you think will sign? I mean, look, it's a few hours a day, but could those hours be used elsewhere, I suppose? Yeah. Thoughts on Kingsley Coman being linked to United, says Chitham? I think he's probably been linked to United because we're trying to push the Sancho deal through. And, you know, it's a little bit like Ousmane Dembele. There's no doubt that United wanted Ousmane Dembele last summer when they couldn't get Sancho. And there's no doubt that United have scouted Kingsley Coman, but we are absolutely all in on Sancho, and I believe we will get Sancho over the line, so we won't be signing Kingsley Coman. Henderson is out of the Euros. Yes, we have spoken about it before, but Dean Henderson is out of the Euros with a hip issue, so he has withdrawn. And also, thoughts on Calvin Phillips? Good player. I don't think United will sign him. Also, let's just have a quick look here. It's always a good time to do this show because there's always stuff breaking while we're live as well. Gazzetta as well are just saying that United are in the picture to sign Ronaldo, but PSG are his first choice. That could be the story of Manchester United's summer. And a lot of you won't want Ronaldo anyway, but that could be the story of United's summer. Ronaldo, PSG, Varane, PSG, maybe even Pogba, PSG. PSG could be the club that take players that we want. And you know what? I don't want to put fire on the Ollie out thing, but there'll be people going, well, that's because they got Poch. If we had Poch, he'd be getting Varane. Well, you don't know that. The reality is, it doesn't matter who PSG have got in charge as their manager. PSG are a better club in the transfer window than Manchester United and have been for a very long time. What's your predictions on France versus Germany tonight? My only prediction is very excited about it. 5 o'clock, I'll be doing Portugal against Hungary. Bruno watch. Join me on Mark Goldbridge, That's Football, for that. And then 8 o'clock tonight, I will be doing France against Germany as well. There will be a show on the United Stand at 7 o'clock. Our evening show has moved from 8 o'clock to 7 o'clock for the next couple of weeks because of Euro games. But yeah, very excited about the games later. No 2 o'clock game today as well, which makes it even more exciting for the other games. Raz says, I know it's against the Jocks, but I was impressed with Schick. He looks like a decent striker, and to batter the Scots, what's not to like? It's interesting, isn't it? You know, will there be a player from the Euros that United go for that no one was thinking about before? I thought both Schick's goals were brilliant. I mean, obviously the second goal was amazing, but I loved the way he scored that header. And a different sort of type of striker, isn't he? I don't think he'd be the sort of striker a top Premier League club would go for. But yeah, 2 very good goals. He should have had a hat-trick. His easiest chance was the third chance and he missed it, isn't it? Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Please smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe. Bottom right hand corner. We're getting very close to 59,000. So bottom right hand corner to subscribe. And if you have subscribed, make sure you click the bell. So then you'll get a notification when we go live, and you can tick to get all notifications, because YouTube, if you don't get notifications on YouTube, this is why. When you're a subscriber, there's a bell next to it. Click the bell and then you can tick to get all notifications, because YouTube will not send notifications out to standard subscribers for every video we do. I was told that the other day. There you go. Right, thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you in a little bit. Smash a like and I'll see you a little bit later. Obviously Portugal, Mark Goldbridge channel, That's Football. Portugal watch along at 5 and then back on here at 7. Speak to you in a bit, unless something big happens, in which case we might be back live again.